I have to segue into this part of it because this is the part you're going to hear most people now talk about. There's a lot of, you could talk about the sound with Antelope, you could talk about the I/O, you could talk about the free effects, and there's a lot of value, there's a lot of power. But if you don't get your head around this, if I can't help you with this, it's all, I'm not going to say it's pointless, but this is where the power opens up. And I want to demystify this because I know that's a lot of colors and that's a lot of patches. And I'm going to make it real simple for you right now. Everything on the top is a source. Consider this your patch bay. Everything on the bottom is a destination. You can only have, a destination can only have one source. But a source can go to multiple destinations, like molting out, branching out. And so it's a very powerful patch bay that can molt automatically to multiple destinations. And all you have to do to get things from the source to the destination is drag them. And so I can, if you see, I'm not using any of these mixers on the bottom. I can mute rows. So I'm not using HDX2 right now. I just cold on, I either right click or control click those and I just mute that whole row. And that sort of clears the path for me so I can see where I'm working. So to demystify the whole thing further, right? So if I wanted to take all 32 inputs, for example, just to show you, I'd hold the shift button. Now, first of all, I can see where everything's routed when I highlight them. If I want to see where 1 and 2 are going right now, I can see that they're going into HDX record only, the line ends. So if I want to drag 1 through 32, I hold shift and I'll just create on mixer 2 an entire mixer. I just did the routing. Done. That's all you need to know. Because once you know that much, now you could say, I want to record AFX. I want to send 7 and 8, kind of like Brian was, down to the AFX 7 and 8. And I would just drag 7 and 8 down, and then I would take the output of 7 and 8 and breathe those into my record channels where they're already routed. And then I could take the dry 7 and 8, and I could drag those down to record channels 9 and 10. Okay? And now I'm recording wet on 7 and 8 in Pro Tools and dry on 9 and 10. This is the power that starts to unfold for you. Now, when you bring in those effects, you're bringing in real-time monitoring mixers, the same concept. Those 4 monitor mixers, the first one has a real-time reverb, which can also be used as a send. If you bring in a source into the reverb, and lower these faders and bring up the outputs, you have all wet. So what do you have? You have a reverb that you can use as an insert. So it's all about learning a little bit of this routing. When the light bulb goes off, you're unleashed. You're unleashed to do things you haven't been able to do in a long time. It's like having a console and a patch bay and a bunch of hardware effects all married up to your Pro Tools. It becomes this middle layer between not just Pro Tools, but Logic, Ableton, your DAW, right? It becomes this sort of middle layer that acts as a monitoring console, it acts as a patch bay, and it acts as all these effects so that you can have all these hardware effects. It really is kind of a next level thing that it's still in its infancy. I mean, this is so new. He just got it last week and just showed you umpteen million effects and combinations. I know we mostly focus on drums, but this is, that's how deep he got. So you can, once you understand this routing, now a couple other things quickly about the routing is you have undo. I don't know if it's unlimited or if it keeps going, but it's enough to get you definitely where you need to go. You can keep clicking undo or redo to route, unroute, and reroute things that you just routed. The other thing you have is an alternate matrix view. So if I click on this matrix, if you're used to seeing up and down routing, first of all, you see what's routed to what, as far in a general sense. So you know that some of USB 1 through 32 is routed to USB record right now, kind of a silly application. But let's go to line in to HDX record. That's a good one. So let's see what line ins are routed to HDX record specifically. I double click on that and I could see the specific line in channels that are routed to record right now. That's a little more what you're used to seeing from
it's
a
looking like
matrix.
patch cords almost in that display. If you're used to patch cables.
That's a little more the way you're used to seeing a routing matrix. So you have an alternate view that way if you really want to get in on a granular level and see where things are routed. In its basic function, I find myself gravitating here because I saw it from step 1 and I got so used to this that I just use these checkboxes because for me, like I said, once I highlight them, I can not only see where it's routed in the HD records, but I could see where it's routed. I could see that 2 channels are going out MADI, or I could see that 2 channels are going out mixers. All of these effects run in real time. The irony of what we showed you today is we were having some, visual with the mirrored screens issues, right? That we just haven't seen because we just don't mirror screens every day at the office. But you can't crash the FPGA. Those effects kept going, and they're not going to stop going. So if you're in a live situation, they're going to go. And if you have 2 DAWs, a lot of people use redundant systems. You can be going out one system and then go out MADI. Even if your system crashes, the second system's going to keep recording because the FPGA, all that routing, all those effects are always running. Remember, they're pre-programmed on those memory blocks, so they become hardware. So if it's getting power, it's going to keep functioning. It's not going to crash.